Happy Halloween, everyone. Big Ramos and LSD back again this week with video number 19. This week, I'm showing you guys my process or my method to creating a Halloween pop culture clown illustration using watercolor paints. I use the same materials that I've been using in the last 3 weeks videos, where in this video, I go over the materials I use in a lot more detail. I use some relatively cheap watercolors, some brushes, mechanical pencils, a couple old palettes to mix the colors that I want, and some white gouache paint for highlights or mistakes that I make, and to use for other details too. Along with the paper that I use, all these materials are not that expensive. They're always middle of the road quality, never hella expensive. Not the cheapest stuff, but I'm not trying to spend hella money either. A lot of stuff I might have even from when I was in college over like 10 years ago. Again, if you don't have basic skills, the quality and price of the materials that you use don't really matter. Alright, I'll get to more stuff during the video. Let's get to the art tips and music. So the first thing I did was think. Then it was sketching out my idea in my sketchbook. I did a loose perspective grid. The hardest thing I had to do was to figure out which manga or anime to mix with the horror icons. So I rounded up my references and figured out my sketch. Once I figured out my sketch, I had to transfer my idea to my final piece of paper. But I was being a bitch.
I mean, why you gotta be such a bitch? Hey.
I wanted to take a picture of my sketch and then print it out to size. After that, use a light box to trace the placement of the characters, but that was hella more work. So I decided to do it by eye. The sketch was very loose, but the way things kind of fell into place and locked in made me want to not have to recreate it. So I hesitated. I had to stop being a bitch again.
I mean, why you gotta be such a bitch? Hey.
And just do it. That's why you draw light and have erasers for. This week's comic cover that I used to focus my camera is one done by Yasmine Putri. It's a variant for Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue number 26. I'm about to tell her dry shit. She's hella dope. Fire. Make sure to go check her out and follow her on her Instagram or any kind of social media, or just go buy some books that she's done. After getting the placement of everything close to where I wanted, it was time to refine the line art across the piece. Where the idea came from. When I was hanging out with my brother, I asked him if he had any ideas for Halloween that I could knock out. He was quick to suggest popular clowns from horror movies. The old It, the new It, Pennywise, Terrifier, Art the Clown, and I chose the Joker, the Heath Ledger one. After that initial idea, I came up with the idea of mixing them with anime characters. I came up with the idea of mixing them with different anime or manga characters. For the new It, I picked Vegeta from Dragon Ball. For the old It, I went with Yuji Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen, Terrifier with Guts from Berserk, and the Joker with Bakugo from My Hero Academia. I used a cheap model again to help with the lighting. Reference is always hella important. I always have it right by my side. Quick life update. My mom suffered some medical stuff. It was a case of Bell's palsy. Whoever or whatever you believe in, please pray for her for me. I truly appreciate that. Thankfully, she's doing good and getting better every day, but shit's hella scary. I want her to be at 100%. I'm glad it wasn't nothing worse than what it is. Once I felt the line art was solid, it was time to introduce the watercolor. Now, it's all about the layers and building up the piece. I started with the background and did a little fade, tried to keep things simple and quick. Again, for big areas, get the area wet first with some water, not too wet, but just clean water. In this case, it was a little bit of red to it, but that was alright because of the colors that I was going to use. Then once you get the entirety of the area you want to fill in wet, fill it up with your watercolor. First up was the Joker. It's all about the build up, like always. Just building up layer upon layer, details here and there, but it's all just little layers, little things at a time. Here I filled in the balloons, just trying to fill in my canvas as soon as possible, ASAP. It always helps to see how things are going to play off of each other. Now it's up to Pennywise, the old one. This was probably the hardest mix to get right. The mix was the old Pennywise from the old It with Jujutsu Kaisen. The main character from that, Yuji Itadori. Then it was on to the new It, the new Pennywise. This one was probably my favorite mix. It's hella fun. The Vegeta hairline, classic. Remember, painting feels and is just advanced coloring book action. Don't let it intimidate you. Just go at it. The then it was Terrifier Time. I haven't seen the movies. I heard they're hella weak. The design of Art the Clown is clean though. So now it was back to the Joker. Like painting, drawing, and inking, it's all about building things up. Once everybody was filled in, it was inking time. For me, that's just a 2B pencil, a mechanical pencil at different sizes. I believe I have a 0.3, a 0.5, a 0.7, and a 0.9. And most of them have a lead in them that is 2B. I have some that are at H, and I think my blue one is at a 2H, something like that, the light ones. Again, I don't like to really use ink. I can, but I just like this look more. I just like this look more. Now it was time to get back to the old Pennywise. Another reason why I like pencils compared to inks is the ability to switch back to the watercolor on the fly. Anytime you want to refine or add a detail with either medium, you can. Just when you're using the watercolor and you put some watercolor stuff down, you do have to wait for that to dry a little bit before you go back into it with pencil, or you can mess it up. Or if you try to erase something, just wait till it's dry. Now it's back to the new or Pennywise again. Again. When I was watching back the video making the script, while I was adding the details with the pencils, it was crazy how clean it was starting to look. That's not always the case, but in this case, it was looking really good so far. I'm not trying to be a slave to my reference. It just needs to look dope at the end of the day. I'll say it before and I'll say it again. When you're using watercolors, when you think you've gone dark enough, in most cases you haven't. Keep darkening things up. Squint to check your values compared to your reference. Squinting helps you to not get caught up in all the details and just concentrate more on the values. Like, is that area as dark as your reference or not? And you could see it a lot easier if you just squint your eyes a little bit and you're looking at your painting and then the reference. Now back to the Terrifier mixed with guts. Trying to get something like that Hayao Miyazaki Studio Ghibli preliminary watercolor sketch feel. Or the first watercolor pages of a manga. that type of feel. Here are a couple of examples. It's crazy how much the penciling or inking can really solidify a piece. It feels so much more finished. Now I had to add the strings to the balloons. I used my white gouache paint to do that. They all turned out pretty good, but I had to use a pair of nail clippers to fix one up with that pointed end of the file. That shit worked though. It was funny. Here I was practicing how to do blood splatter on a piece of paper that didn't matter. I tried a couple different tools to see what worked best for me. I tried a couple different kind of brushes, including a chiseled brush. I also used a toothbrush and credit cards at various levels of flimsiness. I think I've seen Jim Lee use that method. The chiseled brush and the toothbrush worked best for me. I also saw another method where somebody put paint on the end of a brush and then used the brush and was flicking it off of there. Who did that? I can't remember right now, but it was on a YouTube video for some artist that I was watching with my brother. I think it was a comic book artist. I went with the chisel brush, but I was scared. Once I started, things happened that weren't planned. I covered up their eyes with a scrap piece of paper. That big drop was not planned, along with other spots that will go nameless. Now is pretty much the final touches across the piece, making sure I'm good with all of it. Here, I added an outline to my signature. That game of knowing when to call it quits was definitely at play. But I was pretty happy with what was done, so I decided to call this one finished. So now let's get to the final product. There we go. This one's done. What do y'all think? Do you think the blood splatter looks good, or did I go overboard and do too much of it? Who's your favorite? Let me know in the comments. My favorite, again, was the Vegeta one, and I think if certain things wouldn't have happened, I probably would have used a little less blood splatter, but things happen. Thank you so much for watching. I was late this week, but some real life shit happened, so my bad. Should be back on schedule. In a couple days, I'm gonna drop another video. It's gonna be a digital painting that I did of Solid Snake.
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
Or drawing, painting, I don't know, same thing. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a him, unless I think of a better character that I already did. It's gonna be on how to draw from imagination. Come back in a couple days for that. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and click the notification bell to not miss the next video. Happy Halloween, and let me know what mixes you would do. Like, what horror characters would you mix with what anime in the comments too. That'd be cool. Happy Halloween, be safe out there. Peace.